Hey, welcome back to another tutorial. So in the previous video, we sort of got to grips with the physical materials that work with the Arnold renderer. In this one, we're going to take a look at a different type of material. So what we can do to switch these materials out, if I select one here, what I can do, I'm going to use the same scene as well as the previous one, is I can click my material, and here we've got the PBR material. So you've got two different types, and we'll take a look at both of them. Let's grab this metal and roughness one, and we'll do the same here for the spec, just so we can see the difference between them. So with these materials, let's drag them into our scenes. And let's have a little change of the sort of color on that one, just so we've got a bit of difference. And I'll change the color here. Don't worry if I'm going a bit quick. I will come back to these. Okay, so PBRs, what they for? Well, PBRs have been introduced to 3ds Max for real-time rendering application. So if you've got a real-time render engine that you're using in sync with 3ds Max, you can actually use these to get more believable effects. And in addition to that, these materials are the type of materials that you most often see utilized within computer game engines. So if you've been inside Unreal, Unity Engine, even perhaps CryEngine, you might already start to see some of these things like jumping out at you straight away. If you haven't, and you do eventually go in, you will see the similarities with the base albedo, spec, gloss, and so on. Now, the difference being between these, one of them has an option for metallic. The other one has an option for specularity. Now, the metallic option itself, not too dissimilar to the physical material. If we crank this up, we can have a look at the effects where you get super reflective sort of map type. Okay, so you've got a super reflective material that's going to do its best to sort of reflect that environment. In addition to that, so let's grab the spec. Specularity can be controlled through sort of color and a map. Now, you can control the metallicness through a map, but let's just change this spec color. So let's increase this to 1, and you can see here where we're getting little glints of spec scattered about on this surface area. And then we can increase the gloss as well, or maybe not too much, because we do want to see some reflection. And you can sort of see now from here where with reflecting and that light bouncing sort of coming onto this. Now, the difference between these is that the metallic in its sort of self is way, it doesn't really maintain that original color or original detail too well. So again, if we change this, you can see a kit tint of it coming through, but what it's doing is it's attempting to have a higher sort of reflective value around this environment or whatever you've got set into it. The gloss is going to be sort of the gloss and spec is going to be surface level. So in that, if you've got underlying textures, or again, if you want to map to control spot gloss, you can have that, and it should be reflecting sort of on the surface or portray that surface reflection. You can switch between these as well, so you have got roughness and gloss, and additionally in here, you can switch to a glossiness or roughness. If we increase the roughness, it does a similar thing where we get sort of a rough shape, and you can see my renderer here, it's building this up. Now, Arnold itself is probably not great for sort of handling these. As I say, it's better for sort of like your real-time stuff. Despite Arnold being in the viewport here, it still calculates and builds the image. So it's not actually doing this in real time. It's using the CPU, which is driving the calculations to try and run this preview super quickly. So what you'd be best doing if you wanted to preview these in real time is what we'll do is we'll just have a look over here. I'm going to close that one off for now. I'm going to come to the Arnold setup here, and we're going to use high quality. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure that our Arnold scene's off Okay, so our Arnold actual actor view is off. I've got high quality, and then in the viewport settings, I can open this up. I can select to have my light super quality, a bit of bloom on it, and apply that to the background, and that'll give you sort of a representation of what these are sort of going to look like. So 3ds Max has got its real time in sort of the viewport. Maybe turn off the progressive skylight, and perhaps we'll bring in a different light type now. So let's just get rid of this light. That bloom's a little bit too strong, so maybe get rid of that. And we'll use a standard light. And what we'll do is we'll bring in a skylight maybe for that. I'll tell you what, bring in a Omni. There we go. So we've got some light in here. Now you can sort of see here where, you know, this material. So let's just bring back my material editor. Yeah, it's super reflective. So let's just cast that down a little bit. You know, there's not much going on in the environment. Just we'll cast it down a little bit just so we can see sort of a little more. And yeah, you've got that type. Now, base color, albedo. Again, this is going to be the color that you sort of want this to be. You've got the ambient occlusion or AO map. So again, a lot of games, what they'll do is you'll bake out ambient occlusion maps, and you can put them in here to draw emphasis on highlighted areas or shaded areas. You've got normal maps. So again, if you've created a material that has sort of a normal map on this, you know, you can add sort of like normal map information in here. So that'll give you sort of different lighting angles and so on. You've got emissions, which is the same. It'll attempt to put a sort of a glow. This would work better with bloom. So you can see when you've got the bloom on, this starts to sort of glow, which is pretty good. Let's just turn that grid off. So that's pretty good. In addition to that, again, all these you can sort of add maps to. So, you know, for the emission value, yeah, you could bring in maps for this or you know, your own emission map. And then you've got opacity maps as well. So again, you know, you can bring in different map types. So perhaps, you know, if I bring in one of the similar maps that we were using before, and that's a little bit dark, you know, you can bring this in, and what it'll attempt to do is, you can see by the preview, it's attempted to make certain parts of it sort of see-through, and perhaps this is too much on the emission value, but you can sort of see there now where getting that sort of effect, and it's doing a good job. You know, this is just a preview viewport. It's doing a good job of actually casting that shadow there. I'm quite impressed with that. So it's got a decent, doing a fairly decent job there. Okay, so I'm not going to get too much into the render settings on this. I realise you do have to sort of use render setups and stuff with materials. However, it's not the purpose of this course. This course is about the material editors and what you can do and where you can find things. In addition to that, you know, you've got displacement maps as well. So these will work quite well if you know, you want to push and pull that geometry about, you can add them in. Similarly, in the PBR setup in here, you know, you've got a similar setup. Nothing too much is out of place really. You know, you've got the options for, you know, the roughness, the specularity, you know, whether it is you know, glossy, or what color your spec is, or how metallic this object is, and so on. So yeah, all in, they're pretty much the same. They're sort of like the same type of materials and stuff that you can use. And again, if you're, I mean, it tells you here, if you are you know, you're looking for games of real-time rendering, and that's the route you want to go down, definitely the PBRs are for you. It'll give you maximum performance with the quality combined. Yeah, so yeah, give the PBRs a go. As I say, it's not a rendering sort of course. This one, it's more about like the material setup and you know, concentrating on the material parameters themselves. But yeah, I'll wrap this video up, and we will jump into the next one. I hope to see you in the next one.